Welcome to this explainer. Right, today we're diving straight into the Krishna Bai Temple mystery. This is an absolutely wild story of sacred engineering, ancient secrets, and, unfortunately, some very modern threats, all hidden away up in the hills of old Mahabaleshwar.
Now, if you actually visit the site today, you are almost guaranteed to hear this one persistent local rumor, that the temple is literally sinking into the earth. And right alongside that is this visual puzzle that's captivated people for centuries. There is a constant, sacred flow of water pouring directly out of a stone cow's mouth, which is known as a gomukh. I mean, where on earth does this endless stream of water come from, especially way up high in these hills? Well, to decode both of these massive questions, we've got to first understand the people who laid the very first stones.
Let's trace the royal lineage here, because this isn't just some structure that was built once and forgotten about. It's actually a multi-generational project that spans centuries. Between 1220 and 1230 AD, the foundation was laid by King Singdale of the Yadava dynasty. He's the guy who originally built the stone gomukh and that primary water source. Then, fast forward to the 17th century, and the legendary Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj steps into the timeline. He made some massive improvements to the temple and actually established the Shivlingam inside it. And finally, the specific structure we're looking at today, that's the result of a major reconstruction effort back in 1888, commissioned by the King of Ratnagiri. So, when you're standing at Krishna Bai, you are literally surrounded by layers and layers of royal heritage.
Okay, but what's truly mind-bending here is the sheer engineering genius behind how it was built. The ancient builders, known as the Stapatis, used a style called Hema-Pauni architecture to construct this entire masterpiece out of black basalt stone. But here's the crazy part. They didn't use a single drop of cement, not one. Instead, they used dry masonry, carefully carving the stones with mortise and tenon joints. You can think of it like a massive, incredibly heavy 3D puzzle where all the stones just interlock perfectly. And why build it like that? Because this interlocking system actually makes the temple earthquake-proof. When seismic activity hits, the temple doesn't just crack or shatter. The joints allow the whole structure to smoothly vibrate and just absorb the shock. It's brilliant.
And those brilliant ancient builders had another massive twist up their sleeves. Remember that rumor about the temple sinking? Well, here is the actual truth. The temple's main sanctum, the Garbhagriha, was intentionally built in a sunken pit. It was deliberately placed below ground level. So no, it wasn't an accident, and it definitely isn't sinking today. It was designed exactly this way so that natural underground water aquifers, hidden subterranean water sources, could easily and naturally reach the temple's water tank, or kund. The architecture was literally designed to meet the water right where it flows.
Because the sanctum is buried down in this sunken pit, the lighting inside is intentionally kept extremely low. It's actually a psychological tool meant to force your absolute focus right onto the centerpiece, the Shivlingam. And let me tell you, the detailing hidden in that dim light is just breathtaking. The lingam rests on a base shaped like a dambru. That's the traditional drum. Carved into this base are these beautiful lotus flowers, along with 3 distinct rings. Each ring contains exactly 108 carved rudraksha, and the whole thing is surrounded by 108 intricately carved snakes. The level of detail hidden away in the dark there is simply mesmerizing.
And all of this brilliantly illustrates the solution to our second mystery. Where exactly does the water come from? Well, it's a total marvel of ancient hydrological engineering. The journey actually starts completely outside the temple, out in the surrounding fog forests of Mahabaleshwar. The trees out there literally capture moisture directly from the passing clouds. That moisture drips down into the soil, but because there's a solid rock foundation underneath, it forms an underground river. This subterranean water flows along until it pierces through the earth directly into that 300-millimeter sunken pit the architect so cleverly designed. The water emerges, physically touches the sacred Shivlingam, drains perfectly through a little channel in that damru-shaped base, and then finally cascades right out of the stone cow's mouth, the gomukh.
Now, to truly grasp the significance of what we just explored, you really have to understand the scale of what this single tiny stone gomukh produces. The water falling from this temple's kund doesn't just trickle away into nothingness. It actually gives birth to the Krishna River. We're talking about a majestic, powerful river that flows for 1,400 kilometers across India. This perfectly engineered, quiet, sunken temple is the absolute starting point, the very source of a monumental waterway that literally sustains countless lives.
But, unfortunately, this is where our story takes a bit of a dark turn. We've established that the temple is definitely not sinking, but it is in grave danger. It is actively being destroyed, not by a sinking foundation, mind you, but by 3 very real, very modern threats that are tearing this ancient masterpiece apart, piece by piece.
Let's break down exactly what's wearing this structure down. First up is the environment itself.
Mahabaleshwar is notorious for heavy rainfall and extreme humidity, and this climate just fuels the relentless growth of moss and vegetation right on the stone. Over centuries, this literally acts like sandpaper, just wearing down and rounding off the sharp edges of those ancient, hand-carved stones. Second is structural stress. Because of past wars and, honestly, just the immense weight of time, several crucial structural brackets and stone slabs are completely missing. This creates an uneven load. The remaining structure is bearing weight it was never designed to hold, which is leading to severe structural cracks and a very real risk of total collapse. But the third threat? Well, that one is perhaps the most frustrating of all.
Yeah, the third threat actually comes from the very people trying to fix it. We are seeing a tragic clash between ancient genius and modern mistakes. As we learned earlier, the original Stapatis used dry masonry, zero cement, just perfectly interlocked stones meant to shift around and absorb earthquake vibrations. But today, well-meaning, but definitely misguided, agencies are coming in and doing some really inappropriate repairs. They're taking lime or tuna and essentially grouting or filling in these ancient, carefully calculated joints. By making the structure rigid, they are completely ruining that ancient earthquake-proofing technique and basically destroying the structural integrity of the entire building.
Which brings us to our ultimate takeaway today. The stakes here are just incredibly high. We're looking at a site where the Yadaves, Shivaji Maharaj, and these absolutely brilliant ancient engineers left their mark. If this temple isn't properly preserved, we don't just lose a cool piece of historic heritage, we risk losing the very source of a 1,400-kilometer river. The Krishna Bai Temple is this amazing masterpiece where profound devotion perfectly meets environmental science. But it leaves us with one really urgent question to ponder. If we allow the very source of a river to crumble under modern mistakes, what hope do we have for everything that flows downstream?
Hey, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. And don't miss to press the bell icon for our next video. Thank you.